Hello, 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 hello. Once again, this is the Hungry Bleak podcast, and I am Antonio Pomares. Look, my name's at the bottom. You can see it. It's in purple. It's my favorite color. So today's show, so excited, completely excited. One of my favorite people in the world, incredible artist, writer, creative, my hip-hop Sherpa through the streets of bars, just one of the hungriest people. She might be hungrier than me. And I dig that flow about her. Known this person for that's almost been maybe about 10 years, or actually a little bit over 10 years, which is great. Coolest person in the room, honestly. Everyone, please give it up. I don't even have a live audience. Doesn't matter, whatever. Welcome to the room. This is Takeia Marie.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey Antonio, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. This is awesome. I totally appreciate it. And I'm digging the Joy Infinity shirt with the logo.
I want everybody to see this. You guys have to check out Joy Infinity. She is a gamer, phenomenal. First of all, a phenomenal person. Yes. Like Joy, her name suits her. When you watch her on her podcast, if you watch her on Twitch, when she streams games, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But you guys have to check her out. It's Joy Infinity. And she's on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all that.
She's much like the actual feeling of joy. She is throughout everything, honestly.
Yeah. Yes. I actually met Joy through Antonio when I found out Joy was his cousin. And the first time I met her, I was like, how did we never meet her before? Her name is exactly what she is. Like that, probably the most perfect name for a person ever.
Yeah, there was they could not have had any other choices. Like, do you think Joy? I was thinking maybe Rebecca. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe.
It would have been so wrong.
Thinking about maybe Sade. Like, I don't know what we wanna. Let's go with Joy. All right, yeah, Joy. And then the prophecy was fulfilled. It just made sense. It did. Side note, I'm digging those pillows. Those pillows are nice as hell, for real. I'm digging those pillows. Is that white and gray or white and green? It's a little hard for me to see.
It's white and gray.
Oh my God, yes. Oh
yeah.
Anyway, that's that random talk. So the whole thing about these episodes are that they are just me talking to really cool people that I enjoy and just have a great time with. And Takeia is definitely one of those people that I've had hundreds, possibly thousands of hours of conversation with, hundreds of plates of food throughout these years. Damn COVID.
Yeah, I was gonna say COVID is killing it for us right now.
For real. Because before this, when we were in the purple room, I'm not going to call it the green room. It's the purple room for me. We were talking about food and places that we want to eat. That's the episode right there. Places to eat.
Oh yeah. We could talk comics and food all day. See, let me tell y'all how I know Antonio and I were meant to be friends. He just told you his favorite color is purple. Purple is my favorite color. We talk about food. It is. It's my favorite color.
Oh my God. And we're both drinking chai too.
We talk about food all the time. And we were actually just talking about how we first met. I think I did a commission for you on, we met through DeviantArt at the time when DeviantArt was a thing. I did a commission for you and we started chatting on Facebook. And then I went to New York Comic Con. I was with my friend Shanae Williams, who is another fantastic artist that you should check out. And she's just walking up the stairs, and I look, and I'm like, Antonio? And he looked at me, he's like, Takeia? And this was not planned or anything, just happened to run into each other at New York Comic Con and been friends ever since.
That was like a little over 10 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah. It's been a long time. You're really friends with somebody and someone told me this a long time ago, when the time doesn't seem to pass. It feels like you've just always known them, you know? And that's how I feel about you. That's how I feel about Joy. That's how I feel about Shanae. That's how I feel about a whole bunch, Robert, the whole crew. That's how I feel.
Like, I don't think of us in measurements of time. I think about, remember that time that we was eating at that place? Like, that's how I do. Like, I couldn't go, well, was it March or like, remember the time we went to Melba's and oh yeah. I remember. Like, that's how we equate how long we've been friends.
Yeah,
like, it's
exactly.
not time. Like, it's like
and by how many people we've seen fall throughout our friendship.
Oh, we need to do an episode where it's just food and people falling or almost falling, and we like, damn, selfish.
Oh man,
not falling. So
many memories. So many great memories.
Stacking food and bodies on the floor. Oh my God.
Sometimes I feel like, man, I'm probably going to hell for like people. But it's just so funny. You ever see somebody fall and they just grab for everything and it's just
stop. Fall, man. Just let gravity do what it's supposed to do.
Just fall.
Stop messing with nature.
Just fall.
You try to grab.
You remember the last time we were in the city and there was that one guy who was being pretty obnoxious and then he fell. You remember that? That was, oh my God, that was like the best. The universe answered our prayers, and it was just so tasty. It was so good.
Those are the moments that need it, because he was just being an ass. I was like,
he was.
If the ancestors could just come down and please just strike him. Mm-hmm. Just how like the ancestors know when you need just enough seasoning.
Yeah.
Like they're like, all right, that's enough. And there's like, yes. And they just, come on, man. Come on, man.
It was just so satisfying. It was just, it sounds mean, but if you guys had seen how much of a jerk this guy would just be into people in general, just around him, just for attention. And it was like
even to his own friends, like he would just be an ass, and that's what you get.
Yeah. To his own friends, people on the street, and it was just like,
and it was such swift justice when he it was out of nowhere.
The best kind of justice, the ones that happen swiftly.
For real, because we saw that in real time. It's like,
yeah. Ah, man. But we could go on forever about that. We
really could. Oh my God. Like these are conversations that we normally would have over food and chilling. So that's all I wanted to bring Takeia here. Takeia, what are we going to talk about today?
So I want to talk about some dope comics. The first one being Living Heroes. Written by Stephanie Williams, drawn by O'Neill Jones, and the colorist is Christina Poag. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your last name. And I apologize if I am, but it was, so first of all, this comic is kind of a satirical take or a spoof, I guess you would say, on one of my favorite shows of all time, Living Single, with Marvel characters. Specifically, the main cast is they have Storm, they have Misty Knight is in it. They even have She-Hulk playing as like the stand-in for Maxine. So it's so good. It's so good.
And I love how they each play a role. Like they each embody either Regine, Khadijah. They even got the guys into it too. Yeah. Playing, Sam is Overton.
Yeah.
And I think Black Panther is Kyle.
I think so. And because Storm, he comes, it's so funny because he's like, his name is like sprinkled throughout the comic. Like, there's something with him in Storm, but they don't want to talk about it. And then, oh man. But I just wanted to say how much I loved. So I actually stumbled on this comic I didn't know about it. I just happened to be on Twitter. And as we were just talking about the ancestors aligning things when it should be aligned, I was just on Twitter, kind of just, I don't ever really go on Twitter, but I was just clearing my messages and I saw somebody retweet one of the web comics, because I believe it started as a web comic, and they retweeted one of the comics, and I read it and I was like, this is hilarious. Oh my God. And I saw that there was a Kickstarter coming up. So I put a reminder. I actually put a reminder in my phone to remember, like, because I don't remember the date, but I put the date in my phone so that I could remember to go back it. And, you know, when I read the comic, it was just, I mean, everything comes together. The writing is hilarious. The art is such a perfect fit for it. The colors, too, capture the mood. And it's just, oh, man, it's so good. So, you know, like, they have jokes in there that, honestly, only Black people will understand. Like when Jessica Jones brought that terrible potato salad to the Friendsgiving.
I was howling. I was like, wait, what? I had to go back and make sure I read it right. And you could feel everybody. This is how you know it's good. When you can feel the characters actually staring and you all are having, even though they're fictional characters, they're not real. You know, you're all having the same thought, like, Luke.
She had like raisins and olives in the potato salad. I was like, oh my goodness.
Unnecessary things. Just unnecessary.
And when nobody ate it, she had the nerves to be like, you know, there's potato salad left, guys. There's a reason it's left, Jessica.
We know. We know why it's there. We know.
Oh, man.
At that dinner, the thing that had me dying was T'Challa saying thank you for joining us, and so, I forgot who it was, and they were like, but you're a guest too, this ain't even your dinner. Like, he just took over the dinner,
right?
And I was like it actually made me say, T'Challa, just sit down, man. This ain't you. This ain't. That's the first time I've ever told T'Challa to sit down. I love T'Challa, but T'Challa, man, this ain't about you, bro. Sit down. I can see why Storm is doing what Storm is doing, right? And I'm not mad at it. Like, even the fact that they have, like, first of all, they have this. This is a thing that a lot of this comic is Black people will only understand, or have a deep emotional tie to. Like, in the beginning of the comic, they have like the Ebony or Jet Beauty of the Week pictures.
Oh yeah, that was such a nice touch.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh wow, because you haven't. When was the last time you seen a Jet or an Ebony magazine?
Exactly. Exactly.
So to have that throwback in there, and it was Misty full fro, and before her arm was I thought it was Misty, and it's Monica. I thought it was just great. It was beautiful. It was so awesome. And then the way they have it, because it like you were saying, it's a webcomic, they have it in like different like segments. So you can see like a page will be like one webcomic, another page will be another webcomic, but it fits that sitcom kind of feel.
Right.
And that vibe to it. One of my favorite things was the courtroom scene with Namor, where he was just talking. And you know, Namor, I know him and T'Challa beef, but he's one of my favorite characters because he's so arrogant. He's so arrogant, but he's so underplayed in Marvel. I don't know why. And him and Reed, and the way he's talking to Reed, like, you know, when you were gone, Sue was with me. I was nourishing her physically, mentally, emotionally. I was there. I'm the king of Atlanta, and I was getting it. And he was like, "You son of a," and they cut it. And I was dying.
And then I love that when Reed like was about to kind of yoke him up, it just cut off. I like that it's a show within.
Yes.
It reminded me a little bit of Insecure. Remember how they had like they always every season had a show that everyone was watching. Like, I think the last one, a black child got kidnapped, something like that, right? And I love that. I love that it was like, because if on Living Heroes, if they continued with that, like that courtroom drama, I think it was Couples Court? It was taken after People's Court.
Yep, the Couples Court.
Yeah, Couples Court. If they continued that throughout the series, it would be so dope. Because that's just such a nice touch. Like,
I believe they are, because I think I saw a little panel where it was Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
And he was like the reporter guy that talks to the people afterwards, like, well, how do you feel about the case? And he was talking to somebody, and I was like, if they're doing another Kickstarter, I need to know, because I'm definitely putting in for this. Is so great.
Yeah.
And that is a great little the detail that you hit upon. I didn't even think about that, having that show within the show, because seeing Michael Jai White on the floor yell out, "I hate slavery." Yes, I need moments like that in here. If I get more of Neymar just popping off and such while other Marvel characters are back there like,
yeah,
yes,
I would love it.
I'm in for this. Yes, now I need to go back and rewatch Insecure season 1, because that must have me crying.
Man, yes. I think my favorite thing about that comic, and the funniest thing to me, was when they said that Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk,
yes.
when they said that she was a white woman of color.
Oh.
That was so like it was so clever.
The minute I saw that title up above it, I was like, so this is going to be about Jennifer. And I know they're going to come off the wall. But you, within the first couple of pages, you trust this team. Wherever they're going, you're down for them. You are down for wherever they're going artistically, with writing and art. You are so down for it. And they take you on this great like journey of it. And it's to blend a sitcom, which is kind of old hat. It's really, you know what I mean? And to blend it in with characters of Marvel who are beloved but aren't given a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And to have that idea of,
there were a few characters that they mentioned that I honestly didn't even know about.
Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah. And I liked that they took those minor characters and or quote unquote minor, but the ones who, like you said, don't get a lot of screen time, and gave them a bigger platform. And just the way, it was just, you can tell it was just so heartfelt too at the same time, because it was one of those things where you kind of make fun of something because you love it, and you could feel the love and the critique for some of the Marvel characters. Like, I think there was a scene where they had a bunch of, basically all of the Black characters in the Marvel universe, like, okay, let's go. We got some Black stuff popping off. We need to go handle like they need the Black ones, so let's just go.
but that's real. That's real.
That's real.
There's an issue of Black Panther where it was Falcon, Black Panther, I think Misty Knight, might have been Blade and Monica, because they actually made an appearance at the end. And they were fighting somebody in the city, in the, might have been Harlem. Fighting, and they end up defeating it. And this old Black man is there, and he's like, hey, why haven't y'all teamed up before? And Falcon just goes, well, I gotta go, and he flies off. And I was sitting there like, so y'all know. I forgot who the writer of the issue was, but I was like, and as the old man said it, I could hear myself saying it. Yeah, why? And then Falcon just like, well, I gotta go, and he flies off, and everybody just kind of goes on their own way. And I was like, all right, cool. But I love that type of commentary about it. And for them to do that, it's cool. Yeah, it's real. For them to acknowledge it, but also rectify it.
Yeah.
In that same part is cool. There's also a part where all of the women are going to bed. And this is something that I've only seen in a couple of comics. One of them was Omni from Humanoids, where you see them doing their nightly routine. You see silk scarves and you see bonnets. And I was like, bet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Obviously, I know nothing about either, but to see, I mean, for real, but to see the hair care love in there, you know what I mean, was just real cool. And I dug it, because you see like them like putting on like cold cream and stuff, like doing everything, flossing, whatever, and then you see the bonnets being tied up and the hair being put into every. And I was like, yes, thank you, yes, this is awesome.
You need more of that, because even though we're talking about a comic that is, it's comedy, even though we're talking about something that's supposed to be funny, you don't, for a long time you didn't see that side of Black life. Even something as simple as how we do our hair. And that plays out in real life. When people, I remember when I first went natural, people, it's like people who were not Black didn't understand how is your hair doing that? How is it?
Like how?
Like how?
Did you do something different today? I don't.
Right. And so when you see things like, there were only certain products out there that didn't cater to our hair. Now you're seeing it more because they're realizing, oh shoot, Black hair care, there's a lot of money in that. Mm-hmm. But there was a time when you wasn't really seeing stuff. Remember, all we had was like pink lotion and jam. Like,
oh my god. Oh my, the pink. Oh my god, yes. Again, I don't know, but I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but I know.
Right. Oh so it's like seeing stuff like that, just even just the regular hair care routine before you go to bed, putting on a bonnet, putting on a silk scarf, you twisting your hair up, doing whatever you got to do to keep those curls and those locks healthy. That's important for people to see, and even people who are not Black to see, because it's an understanding that we're different, and there are things about us that are different, but we can all, like, it's important for you to understand that there are people who are different from you and still see them as people. And even though we're talking about a comedy, once you get the understanding that there are just different things that we have to do for our hair, there are different things. And so you start to, so I think it, in a weird way, it expands your view. It expands your view of just the fact that there are multiple different kinds of people in this world. And I know we're just talking about, I know for a lot of people might think that, or say that we're just talking about comics. We're just talking about a comic that was funny, but it's important for people to see that, so that that there are differences, but it's okay. We can all get along. We can all do well together. It's okay, but there are differences.
Yeah, I mean, because let's take like fairy tales, like you've heard, like, or seen, I should say. Well, you heard if you read it or seen, like in movies such what have you, you'd always see the princess who would be white, blonde, and blue-eyed. Mm-hmm. You'd see her brushing her hair.
Yeah.
This is no different than that. This is something that you would only get with a team that is Black and written by a Black woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little things like that are part of her experience, her mother's experience, her friends' experiences, people that she knows and loves, and people that also are reading this comic. And to have little details like that are needed. That's why you have to have inclusion. That's why you have to have people of different varying races across the sexual spectrum, across mm-hmm. genders. As well as non-binary and gender fluid. Mm-hmm. So you have to, because you get all these different experiences, because the more, even in something like this, a child is reading this. A child is reading this and they're saying, oh, it's natural. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So you're seeing kids who are a part of all of these other groups who are saying, okay, so this is natural. This is what have you. And that's why you need these other voices. You need the characters on the page, but you also need the hands that are on these pages to be different and diverse and include everyone. So you can see these different ways. So it becomes, we need to normalize everyone, because all are normal.
And I'm glad you used the word normalize and not diverse or any of the words, because while we do talk about, diversity and everything, and it is a word that I have used, really normalize is more accurate, because all of this is normal. What's abnormal is only seeing white people everywhere. That's what's abnormal, because that's not what the world looks like. And that's not what people look like. And so it's important when you put these things on a page, especially in a medium like comics, because the way that we react to each other in real life, and I really believe this, and this is why personally I think stories are one of the most powerful mediums. Telling stories is one of the most powerful mediums that, look, I'm using my presidential.
That's it. That's
But it's one of the most powerful mediums out there because, believe it or not, it subtly informs what you think about different people, or about people who are different from you, whether that be race, whether that be gender, whether that be, you know, your sex, how you identify. Any of that is informed by what you read and what you consume and the entertainment that you consume. And so even something as simple as seeing a bunch of Black women, 3 Black women, putting on a bonnet or going through their hair care routine at night teaches you something that is different. You know, there's something different about other people, but that doesn't mean that you can't treat people the way that they should be treated. And I remember there, in comics in general, there used to be a debate about whether or not, if you were not a particular race, could you write about that race? And I remember the argument used to be that yes, because we're all, you know, even though we're different, we're all the same. We're all the same in that we all have the same needs. We're all human. And I hated that argument. I hated it because even though we're all human, and even though we have very similar needs, the way those needs play out in society due to certain oppressions, due to certain things that are put in place, you know, systemically for certain people, it plays out, what our needs play out very differently. How we react to the world plays out very differently. And so unless you are in that situation, it's likely you're not going to be able to write about it. Not just off the cuff, not without consulting someone, not without reading, not without educating yourself. And I think that was just, you know, this idea that anybody can write anybody. And it was a lot of the time, it was a question being asked when white characters wrote Black ones. White writers wrote Black characters.
Well, some of them are characters, so don't worry. You were using the right word.
And so I think that that argument was moot is the word I'm looking for. Because it suggests that everyone has the white experience. And that's the problem that I had with that argument. Honestly, no, everybody can't write everybody, because there's a certain level of effort that you have to put into writing people who are not the same as you, that a lot of people, frankly, are not willing to put into those characters, into those stories and stuff like that. So that's why I say, again, going back to this, it's important to see the life of people, just general everyday life of people who don't look like you. Because besides making people feel more human, it should make you understand that there are differences out there and you need to be okay with them. So that's it. That's my speech.
Well, no, but that's totally true, because the argument kind of always did fall flat, because they figure, like you were saying, that the white experience is everyone's experience. Because you can have 2 characters who are out in space, let's say, sci-fi, it's the year 3749, you know, teleportation, everything, what have you. But and you can still have them do the same things, you know, action, you have them, you know, be a captain of a ship or what have you, married or in a relationship, a poly or a monogamy, what have you. But there are details that each of us will go through that are different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you don't hit on those little details, you're not really doing that character justice, and you're not doing the readers justice, because you think everyone's going to go through and have the same experience, and they're going to read it and they're going to be fun. Some of us are like reading it and going, this is not what I would do at night. This is not what I would do. This is not
exactly.
And it pulls you out of the story, and that you can have a great space opera written, wonderful, you know, this is your magnum opus, this is wonderful, great. And those details will be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not. It wasn't believable. Even though it's a story, in the 35th century, it wasn't believable because of those things. So you have to, and even, and there's a way where you can educate yourself, not go around asking, hey, and making it seem like you're ignorant, like you're not trying to learn. You can educate yourself. There are
Right.
plenty of things out there besides Google. You can go on YouTube or what have you, or ask your Black friends. You better have some friends. You know what I'm saying? And have other people in that writer's room, other people at the art table who will say, well, no, this isn't what would happen. This is what I would do. This is what they would do. This is, you know what I mean? Someone who can say, oh, wow, and then correct it. That's why you need a team. Like, I've started paying a lot of attention to creative teams.
Mm-hmm.
And who's, again, as I always say, it's not just the characters on the page, but it's the hands that are touching the pages.
Right.
Who is touching this page? Let me see what's going on with this person. Because I've started following more creatives than I do characters. I mean, there are some characters that I do love, honestly, but I've started following creators. And honestly, this team here, Stephanie Williams, O'Neill Jones, and Christina Poag, I'm definitely going to follow them because I loved what they did with Living Heroes. This is phenomenal and awesome work.
Yeah, awesome work. And I would recommend anybody to read it. If you want to laugh, I mean, I think anybody could get something out of it. But there are certain aspects of it that are speaking to us. And I like that because you really need to see too on the page your experience. You know, you need to see your experience. When you're constantly reading about other people's experiences, that gets into you. You start to like the way that you start to look at the world is through the lens of somebody else. And so it's important to know that your experiences matter too. And despite the fact that we're, you know, talking about something that's comedic, that doesn't lessen it at all. Because there's some real, like at the core of the writing, there's some real stuff in there. And it just so happens that it's also funny, you know, and sometimes the best way to get people to be engaged with something is to make it funny. And I have to say, Stephanie's writing is just so good. It's so hilarious. It's so hilarious. And she's phenomenal. So, I mean, everybody on this team is phenomenal in all honesty, but there's so much heart in it, which is what drew me to it. There's so much heart in it, and I would definitely recommend anybody to read it. And I honestly can't wait for them to come out with another book. You know, if there's another Kickstarter happening, I will definitely be getting my copy.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, same thing for me. If you're just a comic book fan, read it because it's funny as hell. And it's great, and there are characters that you're familiar with in a different setting, which is cool. You can think of it like it's a what if, you know, comic, what have you, for Marvel. If you are looking for a comic that's, you know, just something funny that has Black characters that you're familiar with, but still in a different situation, and you're just looking for something that feels good, go with this comic. If you're looking for something that's showing representation, go with this comic. I mean, from the hair that we discussed to little things that Black people would only get, like the Jet Ebony or Jones's potato salad. Like even the hairstyles that they do are different.
Yeah, and their hairstyles change a lot, which I really appreciated. I really appreciated that. Like I mean, there's just so many choices that O'Neill Jones made that were just so on point, just visually, and that is definitely one of them. I really love that. Pretty much every time you would see them, like in the next, you know, you would have a one story, and then in the next story, their hairstyles are completely different. It felt like, that's what I mean. It felt like real life. It felt like, you know, you're there with these characters, and that's why I keep saying, like, even from the standpoint of the medium of comics, I would recommend this book because there's so many good things about it that come together that I honestly think, like, people would get some enjoyment out of it if you're into like comics as an art to see what they're doing. I keep mentioning that the writing is comedic. That's not to lessen the comedy of it. It's to say that I think a lot of the subjects that are touched on, you would expect to be in something dramatic, but because you're viewing it through the lens of comedy, it hits you very differently. And I mean, if you make somebody laugh at something, they're laughing at it, but they're also absorbing what's being said.
Right. That was always my thought process was always if I wanted somebody to understand something, I would first make them laugh because your defenses are down. You're open. Then hit somebody with some knowledge or whatever it is, and then they will absorb it better. Like you were saying, they will. Because you can't laugh and you can't laugh and still be like heart of stone, thugged out. You can't.
Right.
You can't. You can't be like yeah, nah, man, nah.
Yeah.
You can't. When you laugh, that's why like comedians can be some of the most influential people imaginable because they can make you laugh and at the same instinct teach you something or show you this is what's going on. Turn that mirror around. I mean, we could talk about Bill Burr. We could talk about, trying to think of her name, Nanette Gadsby. No. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I watched her through series and I was like, whoa, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
I got one for you too. Roy Wood Jr., the guy, he's on the Daily Show. He had a bit where he was talking about why Black superheroes only help Black people. And he was talking about like Luke Cage and stuff, like why you only see Black superheroes really helping Black people. And it's like, it's because that's all they got time for. White superheroes don't got any problems, so they can help everybody. Black superheroes, we dealing with so much. We only got time to help Black people.
I'm saying, because we're not only dealing with superhero stuff, but also being Black. Like, so we trying to fight two fights at once. I got to go over here and fight Jigsaw, but I also gotta go over here and worry about these cashiers thing that I stole when I walk into the store. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, that's, and he is funny. So because I read some of his tweets and his stuff is hilarious. I wish he would get a special. Wait, does he have a special?
I think he has like a half hour or something on Comedy Central, but I don't think he has like a Netflix special or anything like that.
All right, because I gotta check that one out there.
That's another thing. Like, whenever COVID decides to calm down, you and I got to go to the Comedy Cellar and see a show because we've been trying to do that for a while. And I would love if Roy Wood Jr. was there, I would love to go. Oh, definitely.
Like, I imagine that first show of like somebody when you're able to have full capacity, what have you, and they get a show. I'm just oh my God, if I could get if I could get like Leslie Jones. If I could get trying to think of who, there's so many people that I would just want Tony Baker.
Oh yeah, Tony Baker.
There's a huge that what, we just came up with two other episodes, one about food and comics and the other one about comedians. Oh my God.
Right. I would love to see Marina Franklin. I feel like she doesn't get she doesn't get as much play as she should. She's hilarious. And Godfrey, I would love to see live. So
Godfrey is hilarious. When he's talking about they try to salsa that shit off. No. I know black. No. Nonga. I was dying. I was like, oh my God, yes. There are so many. Oh my God, there's so many people I would love to see.
Yeah. So all that to say, check out Living Heroes. I think if you just love some really good writing, you love some really good art, just check it out. I think you would enjoy it. And I really do hope to see more from them in the future.
Yeah. If you are wondering where this is at, I don't know what publishers, but I know that there is a link to it. I will actually, because I try to post up comics on my IG all the time. You'll see me more on IG than you will on Facebook, honestly, because Facebook is just, yeah, whatever.
A dumpster
I
fire.
not even. It's worse than that lately. I'm like, I went on the other day just for one thing, and I was like, oh,
That's
all
how
right,
that's how
I'm
I
out.
feel about Twitter. That's why I don't get on Twitter a whole lot. As a matter of fact, I
I
think
don't.
I need to probably stop giving people my Twitter handle because I'm
Yeah,
just never on there. I go on Twitter to look at, oh, do I have any messages? Okay, that's it. And then
like
I'll
I'm
hop
not
off.
even on there for that. Like I share on Twitter what I post up on Instagram.
Hmm.
I don't have the mindset for Twitter. Like you have to have a certain mindset for Twitter, and I feel it's the same
Yeah.
for Facebook. And I don't care enough
Hmm.
to do it, so I'll never go viral. I'll never be one. Oh my god, he went viral. You'll never see me go viral because I don't give a shit. I don't care. But yes, on my IG, I always try to post up comics that I really find that I enjoy, that I love. You'll find more indie stuff obviously on there, but you will find some big two as well. But I do have a post on there about Living Heroes when I got it, and I read it that night, and I thought it was phenomenal, fantastic, loved it. I even talked about it a bit last Friday on a Sean's show,
Right.
the Zion Network. I think I
Hmm.
talked about it on there. So there
Oh, you
is,
were on there?
yeah, I have a little
Oh,
segment on there
cool.
now called Lit Pick. He named it.
Um,
Um,
I was trying to find, sorry, I was just
no,
Googling.
no,
I was
fine.
trying to find the actual link to
I think,
Living Heroes, but if I'm sure we can put links in like the description and stuff like that.
yeah, I think it's
Um,
only on maybe her page. Because
yeah.
I found out it through the Kickstarter just like you, but then I
Hmm.
tagged Stephanie Williams. I tagged Stephanie Williams and uh O'Neill Jones. I didn't see
Hmm.
Christina Poag have an IG, or she might, and it just isn't under the name. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable searching for somebody like that because that's creepy as shit. And again, I don't care enough to do that. Not that I don't care about her, but I don't care enough to be that person. But I feel
Hmm.
it definitely give people credit for their stuff. But yeah, this is an amazing book. I will be posting links and stuff like that because I want you guys to read these books because they're awesome. Or go and, like, whatever I'm talking about in this series of conversations. I want you to go out and check out and read,
Yeah.
or watch, or play, or eat, what have you. All right.
Yeah.
And there was something else that you want to talk about as well. Another comic that you're further ahead than I am, and I have to
Hmm.
catch up, but I still want to hear your thoughts on it because there were things that bugged me about it at first that I realized are part of the story, and I have to trust the
Right.
process and the creative team.
So Excellence is another one that I read that I think is such a great story. Um, where to begin on Excellence, because there's so many nuances and layers to this
Mm-hmm.
story
Mm-hmm.
that it I mean, the way that it starts, and I guess you guys should know, obviously there may be spoilers here. So before I spoil it for
Yeah.
you, if you have not read it, go pick it up and read it, and then come back here and listen to us talk about it and let us know what you guys think.
Right.
Um, but but the way the story starts off with uh just this relationship between a son and his father,
Mm-hmm.
and how a father, he's happy to have a son in this world where magic is a thing, where family names are so important.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 10 original families in this story,
Yeah.
and they're all direct bloodlines. And you know in this story, this child is one of them. And so all of this is so important, and the way that it plays out in his relationship with his son is what really grabbed me, because it starts out so good. He's so happy to have a son, and then it goes into like kind of this dark place where he's kind of emotionally abusive to his son in a way. you know, because he wants so much for his son to, you know, his powers haven't manifested yet. His son's powers have not manifested yet. And it hasn't manifested by the time normally other people would. And so now he's, you know, he's pushing his son and pushing his son and pushing his son because he's like, you know, we have to uphold the family name. I think at one point his wife is saying, everybody's saying he might not even be my son.
Yes.
And
yes,
that hit hard. That hit hard. And just, you know, to see how the story unfolds, where it just starts in this happy place, but then it goes into this thing of his son can only find his power through the anger that he has for his father and for the way he's been treated. And how sad is that? I feel like what I really loved about this book, and it starts from page 1, the first 10 pages of this book, the character development in the first 10 pages is incredible. Honestly, for me, one of the best I've seen recently in comics.
Yeah.
And you know, it gets into something that I feel that we don't really talk about a lot still within the Black community is not, I don't want to say mental illness, but I do think there's like an element of emotional, an emotional place that like sometimes we don't know how to deal with, because I think in the Black community, we're taught not to really deal with our emotions in a healthy way. We're taught to be strong, to be, you know, to just take it and be strong and move past these things. And so the way it's described, the emotions that he's dealing with is like, this anger is a box, and anger is the only place he has left to go because the love he's looking for isn't there. And you really don't hear this talked about with men, Black men. And so in the first 10 pages, the fact that they hit on the fact that Brandon hit on so many of those nuances, and then at the same time, you know, just dealing with this idea of a father-son relationship was just so incredible. So I wanted to get your thoughts of it. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was the thing that bothered you when they said that, because one of the rules is that women are not allowed to use magic.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I wasn't mad at it, because I figured that even though that was in the story, there was going to be something to it. There was going to be, I thought, because when you start reading the story, there's a lot of nuance in there. And I figured that that story element was going to come into play at some point, and there was going to be some commentary on it. But you go ahead, tell me what you thought about it.
First off, I guess this is your show now, because you just dropped so much. Right, I'm like, am I the guest? Because she just blew me out the water. I guess. All right. So I mean, this is her account now, right? That is how it works out. Just wow. And this is why I love talking to you about things, because you're hitting on the topic like that, and you're able to see things from different angles, but in the same, like, I don't know how to explain it, but you're hitting on it so hard. Yes, definitely. Yeah. The thing that bothered me, it wasn't the fact that, well, shouldn't say it like that. It was the word that they used, female. That like threw me, but also, yes, saying that females, it was the wording of it. The saying that females couldn't use magic. But then I did realize, because it was a knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
But then I have to realize, look at who's on this story. Brandon Thomas is one of the co-creators, along with Khary Randolph. Brandon is one of my favorite writers.
Oh, he's incredible.
I was reading the new Batman that's for a Future Shock, and there are 3 different stories in it. But with DC, for some reason, they don't tell you who's writing until you finish the story. They don't have the credits. So I was reading a story about the Outsiders, quote unquote, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is really good. Damn, I'm really digging this." And then I see like all this stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah, damn, this is Like, why am I not getting this? Like, this is awesome. Like, this is, and it said that it was written by Brandon Thomas. I said, God damn it. God damn it. Didn't even know, and I love his work. So I have to trust the process and trust these creators who I know their work I love, because you also have Emilio Lopez is a colorist, and
And I think
Deron
Emilio.
Bennett is letterer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I
Oh, no,
just
no, no,
wanted
you're
to
fine, you're
say I
fine.
think Emilio has been working with Khary for a long time. I think they
Yes.
kind of like go together a lot. So and they complement each other so well.
Yeah, this team, because Khary and Brandon were working on Noble. And I
Hmm.
believe that's where they started coming up with the idea, because I was like listening to them talk at a New York Comic Con, and I was asking them questions, because seeing them together, that unit, you see how they play off of each other, and it was like this brotherhood, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this comic, what you were saying, hands down, is completely correct. There's a lot going on here, and being a black man who has had issues with his father and who has
Hmm.
felt a certain way about parenthood and parenting because of it, when I read this book, I was like, I had to take a moment. I was like, shit, all right. So you really are going to this point. And I realized that it was great. And also with Brandon Thomas becoming a father, I think that kind of spurred it on as well.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too because when I was reading it, I thought to myself, it feels like it's coming from a real place. And
Yes,
so I
yes.
wondered if he had recently become a father or if he was, if he had been a father for some time and if that's the place. And honestly, I even wondered if he's ever talked about his relationship with his father because all of it feels
Mm,
like
very
it's
personal.
coming from a place that like he's putting some pain, something tangible on the page. And it's just it's such a great writing. It really is.
I I honestly think that there is a lot, again, none of our business, what have you. But I think
Right.
it is because to write it this deeply and this hard, and like you were saying, within those 10 pages, there's so much character development, so much world building.
Oh yes, the world. I
There's
mean,
so
we could
much,
go on forever.
there's so much there. And that feeling of the emotional abuse and you're not good enough. And when she did say they're not even sure, like, if he's your son, and
Right.
him getting that anger for a second
Mhm.
and not knowing what's going to happen, and seeing how this black family, even at this highest peak, and their name is revered at this
Yeah.
highest peak, there's still all this strife and internal tension in the family because their son isn't what they want him to be. And that hit on a lot of things, not just with the emotional abuse, but also with if your child, especially in the black community, if your child is LGBTQ, if they're lesbian, gay, straight, non-binary, gender fluid, because I believe that's part of one of the rules too, like unwritten or such, what have you, like that you can't.
Hmm.
Yeah, like even
Um.
that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the rules on the first page. There's definitely the rule of no women allowed, and the use of the word females even I wonder if that's even purpose because of the
Yes.
reaction that you
Mm-hmm.
had
Mm-hmm.
and like personally for me I don't mind the word females unless you're using it like these females like
Exactly. That,
if
yeah.
you're using it to mean women in context, then fine. But but it's interesting that now that that word has taken on kind of a different connotation,
Mm-hmm.
that it was said the way that it was said. Um, and to me, when I saw that, it kind of just went into this whole thing of like, these layers of discrimination, because besides just that women can't. There seems to be something in there about people who are not born to these families and
Mm-hmm.
what happens to them and how
Mm-hmm.
they're treated.
Yeah.
Um,
And if they try to
so
use magic,
yeah.
because there's layers of world building
Mhm.
and stuff like that, that it might hit on in the first issue, and you might not get more of that until the 5th issue, and then you see why, because it's like that's storytelling. That is storytelling.
Right.
Building a world like this, having rules, everything from, and that is a thing, like having it on purpose, because it's the first thing you see. It's like on the first page, right after the credits is the rules.
Right,
So right off
exactly.
the bat, and it's the last rule I want to say, so it hits even harder before you go into it, because after that, because I want to say, I'm trying to look on my phone. Yeah, it's on the first page, and then the next page is you see a woman holding a baby.
Yeah.
It's
And
on
so
purpose, and it's so well done.
yeah, all of that is on purpose, I think, because anytime a writer has rules in the beginning of a story, those rules are going to be broken, because they're setting you up so that you know what these rules are, so that later when they break them or they hit you with a twist or something, you know exactly what the rules were, so that you have a foundation to go off of when they break those rules. And I love that you said that, immediately one of the first things you see after you see that rule is a woman holding a baby, and the fact that Spencer, I believe is his name, Spencer's grandmother plays such a huge role in his life. So in his mom, so the fact that's why I say again, I think it was done on purpose, the way that rule was written, because then they go on to show that women are significant importance in the lives of these young men, especially our main character. And so he goes to his grandmother for advice. She's edging him up. She's beautifully
using magic while she's giving him that edge up.
Yeah.
But even that was like magic. Like that's a form of magic. Like the way Black women are is a form of magic. I mean, there is a term like Black girl magic, yes. But even that is that feel. So they can't use magic, but they've been using magic since they were like brought to this earth, and that feeling of it. And even holding that baby, with holding magic itself, and even the creation of life like that could be seen as magic. I mean, it's science, but magic. Well, I guess magic is just science that you don't understand, what have you. But there's so many, making me just want to just throw everything away and just dive into this series again. God damn, I mean, this is what I'm talking about.
For real, you could do a podcast about this story alone and just break down what because I've this is not my first time reading anything by Brandon Thomas. And I think this is some of his best storytelling yet. Because there's not to say that I didn't love his other work, I did, but this one I think hit me in a different way because it felt so personal. And so you're hitting on things that I know the story is dealing with, and just to make it clear, guys, we're talking about the first volume. After those first, I think 6 issues, I have not read yet the rest of it. So if I'm saying things here that you're like, well, in issue 7, this happens, I don't know that yet, so I'm just going to talk about the first 6 issues. But even though I know that this is a story written from, a male perspective, and it starting out, it's about really a relationship between a son and his father. There were things in there that even hit me just on a family level. Like you mentioned, you having a kind of, I guess, shaky relationship with your father. I've had a shaky relationship with my parents as well. And there were like little nuances that I was like, man, that's how I feel. So I feel like it's interesting when you write from a place that's real, it resonates with everybody. And despite what perspective you're writing from, there's going to be something about it that resonates with everybody.
Yeah, because it's something that we can all associate with. Like, even if you're not Black or such, what have you, but you can. There are things in here that will still hit you. Which is kind of funny how we were just talking about not everyone can write everybody. This is a case in point, because if this story, let's say this whole thing, was brought to writer, like white male hetero writer A, and he wrote this, we would not be getting these little nuances, like the whole thing with
No.
the grandmother cutting the hair. I looked at that page for like 30 minutes, no lie, 30 minutes. And I was
Right.
looking at every detail and reading all the bubbles again. I was like, damn, this is so, and the way she and how smart and sage and funny and whips and just quick, and she's edging him up, but also snatching his edges with what she's selling him. And he's asking her advice about the test and the magic and what you're saying about the anger and such like that. I have been there. I think that's another reason why this book hit me a little hard too. Not just that's the spicy relationship with the father, but also that anger, because I had a lot of anger to deal with when I was that age. And because I've always been smaller, I've always been shorter. My father, I believe, is 5'7", 5'9". I'm 5'5". And I was never the most athletically gifted kid. I was always the smallest one out there. So I always was trying so hard. And it just built anger. And when you see Spencer's father actually favor another kid who is bigger, who is stronger, who is better with his magic, and that anger inside him just builds, and that is true. That for a long time, that's all I had was my anger. That's the only thing that I could go to. And my anger made me stronger. It made me think quicker on my feet. It made me run fast. It made me do all these things. But it was also so destructive and toxic.
Right.
And to hit, I know this was going to be a therapy session. Wait, hold on. I didn't know that we was going to be doing this today. I didn't know. I didn't mean to spill all the tea on myself. I'm just saying, but
well, that's where it goes, wherever it goes, right? If you gotta lay on the couch and I gotta get a pad. So how did you feel?
I mean, I shaved my head, but I feel like my edges have been snatched by this creative tool on this book. I didn't know that it was going to be like this today. But that's also a testament to the story as well, because again, we're talking about comics. But comics can be so therapeutic. They can open up your eyes. They can tell you a story that you lived that you're going, damn, wait, hold on. Yeah. And that they can tell you, telling us storytelling is the most incredible thing in the world. And it's something that can take you to a different place. It's also something that can take you inside to look more introspectively into yourself and say, damn, that's what I've done. And it doesn't have to do with the powers or such, what have you, anything like that. It's just that experience in your life. So I've been Spencer. I've been him with that anger. So where I'm at now, I want to see how his story unfolds because I'm captivated by it, because that was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that is, a testament to just great writing when a comic, when it can resonate with someone. This is why comics are one of my favorite medium of all time, because it resonates with you, I think, in a different way that other mediums don't. And just the way it starts out with, I believe Spencer is telling the story to us from the future. And this sense of like impending doom is always within those pages, because something has happened or is going to happen, something big between him and his father that they can't come back from. At least currently, that's the feeling that you get in the first issue, is that there's just this impending thing that's going to happen that we don't know yet. But what it does is it instills kind of this sense of dread in you when you're watching the events play out, because you know the entire time that there's this thing that's going to happen, but so much between him and his father is going unsaid. And if they would have just said it, maybe this thing wouldn't have happened. And it's such genius writing to let you know in the beginning, to let the reader know this something is going to happen, so that you can see all the ways that this could have been fixed in the events that are playing out as they're playing out, and just be hit with that dread that they're never going to fix it.
Thank you. Yes. Which again speaks so much volumes, because there are never those talks. A lot of times, black fathers and black sons, there aren't those talks.
Yeah, they're not because there's so much pride, and that's the thing too. A
Exactly.
cornerstone of this story, a corner theme in this story is how destructive pride can be.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, there's so many points in the story because you have that knowledge that something bad is going to happen. If they would have just talked, if they would have just said this, if they would have just said how they felt, maybe this thing wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's really interesting too that the father is actually coming from a place of, you would think that he's coming from a place of pure selfishness, to be honest, to hear this told from Spencer's point of view. But when Spencer's grandmother gets sick and Spencer knows we can fix her, magic, hello, we can fix her. We only need one thing. We can go to this council or whatever, and we can fix her. And his father refuses to do it and says, this will tarnish our name. They will take everything from us if we do this. We are not allowed to play with life and death. Mm-hmm. But you also get this sense in the story when Spencer speaks to his grandmother that these rules are mostly arbitrary. These rules that are put in place are not because of anything other than control, because they want to control them. And so from Spencer's point of view, it's like, they're playing us. They're playing us. But these are the people that you want to follow. But his father feels like, I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting our name. Our name gives us status. Our name protects us. And we need to protect that at all costs. And that's where they clash. And that's a very interesting dynamic, because you would think from the way that Spencer is telling the story that his father is just completely selfish. And I'm not saying that his father is a likable person or that, you could side with him, but it's this thing of in his father's point of view, he's doing the right thing. And maybe he doesn't even see all of the reasons that he's doing it. And so it was just a very interesting play on the two of them.
Yeah, no, it is true, because it only takes one sentence to open up that communication. And it's that almost quote unquote tough love, where and a lot of Black men, unfortunately, when they become fathers, are because that's how they knew love, or they don't know how to properly profess their love for their sons and take them in and tell them, this is why we're doing this is why we have. Because so many times in Black household, you ask a question, no, this is why we do it. Why? Because this is how we do it. Don't ask me no questions.
You're never giving it. Don't ask me no questions.
Don't contradict me. And then when you ask, what does contradict mean? Because you don't know what it means. Then they go, what?
You trying to be smart?
Yes.
You smart.
but don't you want me to be smart? So yes, I'm trying to. There's so many. Oh my God. There's so much there. So this book, you can see why it is the huge hit that it is.
Right.
Because every issue had 2 printings. Every issue of the first arc had 2 printings. I think the first 3 had 3 printings.
Oh, wow.
That says a lot. There aren't very many comics that can say that, who they said, oh, well, you know what? I have all the covers, by the way. Thank you very much. But that's a testament. When you have a 3rd printing, it hits. When people are not just getting it digitally, but also physically, and they're got to the point where you're getting, a 3rd, a 4th printing. That doesn't happen with every comic, especially not with comics that are about a Black family. And this is in essence, it's a Black family comic. It's a family comic, but it's a Black family comic that just happens to have magic. And I want to say this is like near future New York, or maybe now, but in a different universe, New York.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think I took it a little bit to be like a more futuristic New York, but it could also be, just an alternative, because there's, there's magic. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about and what you thought. So, in the story, they're training and they have charges. So people that they're supposed to protect use their magic to protect. Now, in this story, everybody who has magic is Black, as far as we know so far. Everyone is Black. But everyone they protect is white, it seems to me. So I'm like, what is this going to be about now? Because to me, a good writer doesn't do stuff like that.
No.
Without an intent. It's done on purpose. So, I wonder, where are we gonna go from here?
Again, that's another, just like you're saying, that's another thread that we're going to find out more about. Like, that's why this is so hitting on so many things, and things that we might have a knee-jerk reaction to. Why are you only protecting the white folks? Just like I had a knee-jerk reaction to females. But then I got to go, look at who's on the team. Look at who's on this creative team. Let me not just have that, because I know it'll pay off later. So let me not have that knee-jerk reaction to it.
Yeah.
They're going to give that to it.
And this is the importance of letting stories play out, because there's this dynamic, I think, especially right now, when we're having so many conversations about, how to treat people who are not like you, how to respect people who are not like you. Again, we talked a lot about race, about gender, about how you identify and things like that. But it's also important, I think, to let stories play out, because I don't know how you comment on those things in a story without touching on the offensiveness of it. And so something may start out sounding offensive to us and to our ears, because we're learning a lot more in these days, but you can't tell the story without touching on the thing that's offensive. And so if in this story in particular, if you're going to touch on, in our world, that women are considered less than, in your story, you need to make them less than, so that you can touch on it later on. And so, I like to, for me, I try not to make judgments about a story until that cover is closed. Right. Because when you get through it all, if you get through it all and it was just offensive for the sake of being offensive, then But I think you're in good hands. Everybody who's watching this is in good hands with Brandon Thomas, because there's a lot, and when I say a lot, there is a lot of nuance here within the world building, within the character development, within the way that Khary is portraying these characters, and in the way the art plays out. Besides just the story, the action, is so cool. The way that he draws it is just so cool. And the colors, the way that, I'm just artistically, I'm just blown away by like how well everything has come together on this book. It truly is, no pun intended, magical. Like the way that everything comes together on this book on a creative level is inspiring to me.
It's computable. I've stared at these pages. At one point, I had the cover was my phone background because it's so beautiful. Something that I really pay attention to is fashion. That might sound odd, but I pay attention to how fashion is portrayed in comics.
Yeah,
and seeing the character designs. And how not everyone looks the same. It's not either like you got like a fade or bald or black would go. It's not like the stereotypical thing. Every black looks different in this book. Look beautiful, beautiful. But the clothes, like bet I could not pull that outfit off. But if I could cosplay as an older Spencer with the I know that outfit probably cost $10,000 in real life. I have to get him to design some Yeezy shit or whatever, but it's so cool. Like, to see that is just so. And I wonder what inspired him for the fashion, where it comes from, what have you. It's great. I love little
I
nuances.
think it comes from living in Brooklyn.
Facts, yeah.
I don't think Khary is from Brooklyn, but I think that's not to put his business out there, but I think that's
Damn.
I'm not
I mean, he ain't from Brooklyn. I'm just saying.
But I think just having talked to him at cons, I believe he lives in Brooklyn, and you know, walking around New York City, like you look at the fashion in this book,
yeah,
that's what that is. Like you walk around New York City and you seeing all kinds of different. So, I mean, great point on touching on the character design because it really does. That's what makes your world feel real and full is when you have people who just look different, people who are designed different of all different shapes and sizes and hairstyles and complexions and stuff like that. So that's a great point.
Because it plays along with the fashion. It's just, yeah. I mean, yeah. So this, I mean, for me, definitely they're on the second arc now. I don't believe the second arc is finished yet.
I don't think so.
They're on issue 9, I want to say. Once issue 9. Usually I can check right now. Yeah, 9. So usually with because this book is through the Skybound imprint for Image. Usually they'll do 6 books will be a trade. And then so 3 more, what have you. I'm trying to remember when the next issue is out. I think it's this month, if not next month. For issue 10 to come out.
Right.
But this is a definite get for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody should be reading this book. It's just, you know, the other thing I don't want to leave out because comics are a team effort is Deron Bennett. Deron Bennett is definitely one of the best letterers in the game, hands down. And I think lettering is like visual effects in that when it's done right, you don't notice, but when it's done wrong, you really notice. And so to that point, letterers are extremely, extremely important in keeping you engaged in the flow of the book. And Deron Bennett's his lettering does that phenomenally in this book. And I don't want to leave him out because I think, you know, we talk a lot about the writers and the people who draw the thing, but letters are extremely, extremely important. And the way that something is lettered can give you a different sense of what is happening. It can give you a different emotional resonance. And he hits the emotional beats in the story. He hits all of them along with Khary, along with Emilio, along with Brandon Thomas. And so if you want to see a book that just has a complete package of art, writing, lettering, coloring, the way everything is put together, definitely read this book. I'd say this is definitely not only a book for people who are just comic book fans, but a book for people who are creatives to study and learn from because so much is done right here.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my take.
Yeah, this is one of those titles that I would say everyone plays their role so well and is so integral to everything. There's not a wasted piece of motion in this, and I love it. So, I mean, for me, definitely a get. Pick this up. It's available on digital as well as in print. The first trade is out. You can pretty much find it everywhere because the book is just blown up. Like I said, the first 6 issues are excellent. I mean, grab this up, please. Do it.
Yeah. Do it now, today.
That's it.
At this moment.
Yes. So on that note, we're gonna just this. Yeah, we definitely gotta do this again. Honestly, like I have so many things that I want to do and other people that I want to speak to and things like this. But yeah, we have to do one for food, just food, just for food, and then one about people falling. I'm gonna be real.
Oh man.
For real.
We can talk about that all day.
Because it's so funny. And I know that sounds wrong, but y'all know it's funny.
It is funny. It is funny.
So Yes. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say thank you for having me on. Like this is always fun. And guys, the way that we're talking here is exactly how we
Yeah.
are in real life, which is why we wanted to do this. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I just always love talking dope comics with you. So,
You are one of my. There were like three names off the top of my head that I was like, yeah, I definitely want to talk to these people. Then there were other people, not to say that they were lesser than, but there were three names that came immediately to my head. You obviously were number one because we've had these
oh.
conversations numerous times. Like I said, thousands of plates. I mean, millions of steps around the city and very like we always done. So I want to say thank you so much for coming along with me and being a part of this. I appreciate it as always. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary folks, gender fluid, everybody around, whoever is watching this, this is Takeia Marie. Thank you.
Thank you. And just real quick, shameless plug. You guys
Oh
can
yes, yes,
find
yes,
me
yes.
on you guys can find me on social media at Takeia Marie. Um, Specifically, Instagram is probably the one I use the most, even though I haven't posted in a while. I've been a little bit busy, but that's the one that I use the most. So, and I love, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, if you're in comics or whatever, I love following new artists. So definitely, hit me up and let me see your stuff because I love it. So, but yeah,
There you go. Um, this has been Takeia Marie. Like I said, one of my favorite people out there. So much appreciation. And that's the end of our show. There will be more. I am doing more of these just because this is the second one I've done, and hell, each one it seems to be getting more and more fun. So this is just going
Mhm.
to keep happening. So, Takeia Marie, thank you as always. Thanks so very much.
Thank
So
you.
appreciative. Myself, I am Antonio Pomares, and this has been the Hungry Bleak podcast. Have a good day, whatever it is. Try to do the best you can with what you got, and just don't be a dick. That's all I got, really. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the simplest way that I can say it. Thank you.
Great.
Have a good one, everybody, and get these books. Peace.
Yeah.